Colonel, you heard all those things. China getting involved with Russia, China launching more aircraft carriers, China having our data with TikTok, China. You have been on this program now for 2 years, I think, almost solid, saying our biggest adversary, our biggest threat, the biggest concern of this nation is not Russia, like the Biden regime wants us to believe right now, it's China. And all signs point to that.
Well, it is China. And in fact, what's happening right this very minute in Ukraine is proof of it. What the Chinese have done is they've gone around the corner from all of those sanctions, quote, sanctions, to basically score a 55% increase from Russian oil from a year earlier, a record level. It was happened in May. It's, as you pointed out, displaced the Saudi crude as the top supplier of oil in the world. And it now refines, it's cashed in on refining that at discounted prices amid the sanctions. If you look at all the things that they're doing, we actually put all this out last year in our very first book from Fidelis Publishing.
Yep.
And it's now being actually acted upon by those in the Pentagon who know what's going on, but it's being slow rolled by the Obama administration. I'll give you an example. There's no doubt that the people in Ukraine have bared an incredible burden here. The numbers of civilians killed, the numbers of people displaced in the millions. You're looking at a country that has been invaded unnecessarily and without justification and committing war crimes from Russia. Vladimir Putin is not the reason why we've got inflation here. All that started the very first week of the Biden administration when they shut off oil being basically an export from the United States. We now look at what China is doing with their so-called Belt and Road Initiative, their ports that they're building around the world, their access to places that no other adversary has ever had before. The interesting thing about all this is they're watching very carefully what we do with Taiwan, which is why this new Taiwan policy paper, it's an act of Congress, the Senate, being supported by both Republicans and Democrats, is so very important. It falls just that short of being an absolute recognition of China as a separate, independent country. That has the Communist Chinese actually worried. It may actually threaten the possibility that Xi Jingping is going to get his third term as, quote, the leader of the People's Republic of China. If you look at all these kinds of things that they're doing, we had better pay attention. As Mike Pompeo has said it dozens of times, pay attention to what's happening economically, in cyber warfare, in information warfare, in the kinds of things that they're so good at, and we're failing at, in large part because of Afghanistan going all the way back to last summer in Ukraine and Ukraine. Those events have led us into a corner, and from which it's going to be very difficult to escape.
Yeah. Ollie, I want to get your take on something else because you've been around for a while. You know the ins and outs of the swamp, and you know kind of this back and forth rhetoric that the American people get spewed, no matter what side of the aisle it's on. So I get that this is bipartisan, and I applaud that. But what are we looking at, like as far as getting into a conflict with China? Because we have made it, and so did President Trump, many administrations have made it very apparent to the CCP, we will not allow them to go back and try to take Taiwan. If so, there could be military action. How does that even look in a 2022 in this day and age with nukes and everything else and the warfare that we have? What does that look like if they do that? And what should be our response?
Well, one of the reasons why the Communist Chinese have not yet tried to take it back, they've threatened Taiwan. They do overflights in international waters, even when the U.S. has carriers in the Taiwanese Straits and the Taipei Straits. When you look at what they're doing actively to denigrate the United States, they're succeeding in large part because of this administration. You just pointed out that they've just launched their third aircraft carrier. That aircraft carrier is going to go through a lot, but it's got the most modern possibilities of any vessel other than our own. But they've also got not steam-launched catapults, electromagnetic catapults, just like our newest carrier. Wow. How did they get that information? They stole it. They stole it from all of the espionage that they've been doing against U.S. contractors for years. You pointed out what's going on with TikTok. They're getting the personal information of millions of Americans. And that kind of information can be threatening. It can be used for intimidation. It can be used for all kinds of things. All of those are part of that Taiwan Policy Act of 2022.